Hello everybody, this is Jace from Gridiron Football, and we have another episode of the Chase with Jace. Of course, this is our LSU football show that we do each and every week, every single Wednesday. Just to recap what happened with the Tigers, I'll just say the Chase because the Tigers are trying to get on a championship chase. So we're going to recap the previous week for the Tigers. We'll look ahead to this week's game as well. I appreciate everybody that's going and watched the show. Please please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got a lot of great stuff going on. Me and Sophie, who's actually working the camera today, we have a Gridiron Football Player of the Week show we do. So we'll do that every Thursday evening at 5 o'clock. We have our Ball in the Boot show as well, talking about all things Louisiana high school football. And then we're also going to debut pretty soon going bowling with myself and Andy Bryson, talking about the Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game. So a little play on the words right there. I'm going bowling. But we're here to talk about the LSU Tigers. LSU able to have their first SEC game of the season at home and able to get a 20-10 victory over the Florida Gators. That's always been a heated rivalry game. The LSU Florida game's always been one of those games that's been like kind of expect the weird and the wacky, a lot of crazy things going on. You just throw the records out the window. Not really surprised, even though Florida was coming off a really embarrassing loss at home the week before against South Florida. You know that they're going to give LSU their best shot, and defensively they did. Now, here's the problem, though. Offensively, they also gave the ball away to LSU. 5 different times, to be precise. 5 interceptions. LSU's defense, once again, has really been the theme of the season so far for the Tigers. And every single game, this team has not scored more than 23 points in a game. They scored 17 points against Clemson. They scored 23 points against Louisiana Tech. And they've scored 20 against Florida. But at the same time, even though with the offense's inability to score points, you didn't feel threatened at all, because the defense has been so dominant this year. You've been pretty much been able to get your basically arm's length of everybody else. So LSU's defense has been rock solid starting the season. I'll go over a couple of things what's impressed me most about this LSU's defense. But just to recap the game in general, if you told me going into the season like Garrett Nussmeier and DJ Lagway were 2 of the most highly talked about quarterbacks in the SEC. So going to this game, if you would have told me before the season that both quarterbacks would have 2 touchdowns in the game and throw 6 interceptions combined, I probably would not told you that was going to happen. Especially LSU's defense getting 5 interceptions. It's not that often you see LSU or any team get 5 interceptions on defense. I think the last time LSU was able to do that, it was go back to the COVID year against Ole Miss. LSU was able to get 5 interceptions against the Rebels. And I don't know what's crazier, knowing that you got 5 interceptions in one game, or the fact that you still only won the football game by 10 points. So there's a lot to unravel there, because usually when you lose a turnover battle that much, it's usually a problem for you, and you're going to be down by quite a lot. But you got to give credit to Florida's defense. They kept Florida in the football game. LSU's offense, which we'll go and dive deeper into, it has struggled this year, and we're going to talk about some theories why LSU's offense has struggled. But it's the SEC. They're all tough. No matter if you're playing. I mean, look at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's looking pretty good right now. They're 3-0 to start the season. Mississippi State. Mississippi State beat Arizona State the other week, and Arizona State's the defending Big 12 champions. So to beat those two, those 2 teams are usually at the bottom of the SEC, and they're looking really good. So really, the depth in the SEC conference from top to bottom is as good as it's really ever been. And so every week it's going to be a battle to win a game. So a lot of people have talked about, and a big talking point this week was what Brian Kelly said at the post-game press conference after the win against Florida. I was in the press conference room. I was there, saw it all. Yeah, I mean, basically, I understand the two parts of it, right? And if y'all haven't gone, if you've been living on a rock the last couple of days, Brian Kelly was asked after the game by Michael Cauble, who was with WBRZ. He was asked after the game, first question, right off the bat, about how the offense has struggled. And what Brian Kelly said was like, are you serious? Like, we just finished the game that we won 20-10 against the Florida team, the SEC team. The emotions are high. You fought so hard for 60 minutes. We just finished that game. Our defense played lights out, get 5 interceptions, and here you are talking about the offense. So I understand why Brian Kelly was upset with the reporter, knowing that was the first question being asked. It wasn't about the defense. It wasn't about the 5 interceptions. It wasn't anything about that. It was basically what Brian Kelly said, paraphrasing almost, but nitpicking what was wrong with the game with LSU instead of focusing on what got them to win. Basically, ask a question like that starting off, you think LSU would have lost the game by 2 touchdowns instead of winning that football game. But when you're asked that question starting off, I mean, it overshadows how good your defense really played. But I get it. It was a reasonable question as well. I mean, LSU's offense did struggle. Anytime you score 20 points and you have 5 interceptions and only score 20 points, that is troublesome because usually you take advantage of those turnovers, of those mistakes. Now, LSU was able to score a touchdown and had a pick 6 in that game, but that's 7 of the 20 points. So your offense only scored 13. So your offense did struggle. They struggled on third down. The only touchdown drive of the game by offense from LSU, they had a pretty nice drive, and I think they drove the ball 76 yards on 10 plays. Garrett Nussmeier was 3 for 3 on third down to extend drives, and they had a couple really good throws over the middle of the football field, and including a touchdown pass to Xavier Thomas. But besides that, you were like 1 for 13 or something like that, 1 for 9 on third downs. So that's just not good enough. You got to extend drives. I mean, your defense has played at a high level, but you got to extend drives and rest your defense. And you want to put your defense, even though they're playing at a high level, you want them to be in the best situation as possible. So they played complimentary football. LSU was just able to get that touchdown drive, kick a couple of field goals. I thought the special teams played really well too. Damian Ramos had a couple field goals. Grant Chadwick, he was awesome in the football game. Usually don't really talk a lot about the punter in any football game, but Grant was phenomenal. I mean, had 7 punts in the game. He averaged about 50 yards a punt. Had 4 pinned inside the 20-yard line, so you already have a confident defense. And what helps a confident defense? You pin the other team back, and that's what Grant Chadwick did. So special teams was great. Defensively, you're awesome. Offense, underwhelming, but you did not have the crucial mistake, right? I mean, Garrett Nussmeier did throw an interception late in that football game, but ever since the interception return for a touchdown by Deshaun Spears, you felt like that you were in control. I mean, it gave you that separation. Florida was giving you the football. 5 interceptions from DJ Lagway. They continue to it's kind of like Oprah giving out free gifts to the audience. Like, you get an interception, you get an interception, you get an interception. It seemed like everybody had an interception in that football game. 5 interceptions, and I made a point where the 4 players that did get interceptions in the game, it was all their first interceptions as LSU Tigers. Because keep in mind, you have Deshaun Spears. He's not even your first or second string safety. He's your third string safety, and he got 2 interceptions for you. Mansour Delane, who got an interception earlier this year, he's a transfer against Clemson. And then you also have A.J. Halsey, Tamarcus Cooley. They're both transfers. So this is their first year playing at LSU. So they both got interceptions. And then the last interception, the 5th interception thrown, was the 5-star freshman, DJ Pickett. So those are all guys that got their first interceptions as LSU Tigers. And also last year, LSU had 6 interceptions all year long. they've already had 6 interceptions as a defense through 3 games. So that's been really impressive. We're going to go into Blake Baker and how impressive the defense is. We're going to harp in a little bit about the offense. Obviously, Brian Kelly gave an update about Garrett Nussmeier and why, I guess, kind of given like more of like an excuse of why the offense has struggled so much. But as everybody knows about the injury that was reported before the season, a lot of people figured that Garrett Nussmeier was hurt. Even going into the Clemson game, the Louisiana Tech game, and when he threw that underneath pass against Louisiana Tech, he had a wide open receiver, and Garrett Nussmeier is one of the most highly talked about quarterbacks in the country. First round draft pick potentially. He can make all the throws all over the football field. So you've seen him make all these throws just all over the field. He's got a strong arm. And then you see the Louisiana Tech game where he's got a guy wide open and he makes that throw, 10 out of 10 times in his sleep. And then you see him underthrow that football by 10 yards. And you knew something was off. And Brian Kelly did confirm that he has been playing with an injury. It's been a torso injury. So knowing that he's a quarterback and you have to throw the football, and a lot of that power sometimes comes from your lower body, it is a nagging injury to deal with. It's a tough injury to deal with, to try to throw the football with a torso injury, because you need your lower body. You have to throw it from. It doesn't just come straight from your arm. You have to use your lower body to make those throws and put some power on your throws. And that's why you've probably seen a lot of conservative play calls the last couple of games, a lot of underneath throws. You haven't seen a lot of shots down the field. So that could be an excuse. I know there's been a lot of heat on Joe Sloan, who's the offensive coordinator at LSU, and calling plays on him because of how you're not really being aggressive down the field. You got all these different weapons on offense. You got Aaron Anderson, you got Xavier Thomas, Chris Hilton, who's supposed to be your deep passing threat, but he only has 1 catch so far this season. So, and he's your deep threat, and they haven't really trying to throw it to him deep. The biggest pass play that you had is actually not from one of your fastest guys. It's from your tight end. It's from Bauer Sharp. 65 yards. It was a big catch and run, and you thought, okay, this was the moment that LSU was going to, get that, put the game on ice with a touchdown and make it 27-10. And then after that big pass play to Bauer Sharp, you fumble the football, lose 14 yards, and then Garrett Nussmeier tries to do way too much and throws an interception. So those are mistakes that you just can't have. But that has probably played a part in why the LSU offense has struggled the last couple of games. Now, Brian Kelly did also say that this is just one of those nagging injuries. It's not one of those injuries you can't play. It probably limits him a little bit, but you can't really overcome that injury until you reach the bye week, which leaves an interesting question. LSU does play Southeastern this Saturday. I love my Lions. I graduated from Southeastern. So, lined up and all that, called Southeastern games for ESPN Plus, did all that. I love Southeastern. LSU could put their 4th-string quarterback in there and beat Southeastern by 30, 40 points if they wanted to. So, that's what brings the question about, does LSU consider sitting Garrett Nussmeier? Now, that has been something that people have brought up and talked about. Give him some time to rest. I actually disagree with that. I think Garrett does need to play. Obviously, you don't want to see him play like the Louisiana Tech game. You don't want to see him on the field in the 4th quarter, because that's what happened with Trey'Dez Green, who's your big 6'7" tight end. He was playing in the 4th quarter when you had the game in hand, and he gets hurt. You don't want that, especially in a game that you know that you're going to win. But I think he needs confidence. Just some confidence going back against a Southeastern team that you should be able to handle. But hopefully you just get a couple of drives of Garrett and pull him out. Get out to a 28-0 lead and then pull him out. He gets a couple of touchdown passes. He's feeling good about himself, because I think a quarterback needs confidence. Now, this is a veteran quarterback in Garrett, but I do believe he does need confidence with the offense, and just for the offense to feel good about themselves going, because after Southeastern you got Ole Miss. You got to go on the road against an Ole Miss team, and I'm not going to tell anybody that they don't know anything that they don't know, but you're going to need more than 20 points to beat Ole Miss. Even though your defense has played awesome, you're going to need more than 20 points to beat Lane Kiffin and the Rebels. You do, on the road especially. So I think Garrett Nussmeier and his offense just needs a couple more reps. I did ask Brian Kelly about it after the Southeastern game. Is it after the Louisiana Tech game, if it's a timing issue with the receivers, because he's got a lot of new receivers coming in. I mean, he's got transfers, Barryon Brown, the one he underthrew for an interception, Nick Anderson, there's Bauer Sharp. There's a lot of different options that, they are really much banged up. There are a lot of new options that you have to throw the football to. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things. And what hasn't helped is LSU can't run the football. That's another thing, too. Now, LSU does a lot of RPO stuff in their game. And when you run an RPO offense, your offensive line can't go downfield and run block. Because if just the off chance, Garrett Nussmeier can pull it and throw it. And so you don't want anybody illegally down the field. So has that played the LSU run game a little bit? It could be, because for an LSU offensive lineman, you know that you can't go downfield on a lot of those RPOs. So that could be a reason as well. LSU did have success late in the football game against Florida. They were able to run in the I formation, and they tossed it to Caden Durham, and Caden Durham ran for over a 50-yard run. So do they go more into the I formation a little bit? Do they go under center a little bit? Because when they've run in the pistol and they've run the ball out of the shotgun, especially when third and shorts, they can't get the first down. And usually third and shorts, you should be able to convert those, especially you're at LSU. But that's been a problem for this offensive line in trying to convert those third down and shorts. So we'll see how much adjustments. I'm sure you're not going to really see anything much this Saturday against Southeastern. But moving forward, what does Joe Sloan do? How do they get back to that creativity in the running game? One thing I noticed from the Florida game was what I thought they had some success in was Xavion Thomas coming in as a wide receiver and moving in at running back and giving him the football in his hands. They kind of got away from that in the Florida game. So did they go back to that? And what other ways can they be creative in the running game? I mean, maybe install a package on the I formation. Get a guy like Jack Pyburn as your defensive end. You don't really have a fullback on your team, so you got to put somebody in there to play some fullback. Could be Jack Pyburn, your defensive end. Could be Bo Bordelon. I see him out there lined up at fullback one at a time. He's one of your offensive linemen, so maybe have him at the fullback role. So I'm not sure how much they're going to do that, because Garrett Nussmeier hasn't taken a lot of snaps on their center too. So a lot of things to look at there. How do they get back to that deep passing attack with all these different weapons? I think it's just going to take a little time. You have to figure out a way to go through the Southeastern game and the Ole Miss game, because Garrett Nussmeier does need rest. I do get that, to really heal that injury. They have the bye week after Ole Miss. So you just have to figure things out and just get to the bye week, and then hopefully Garrett Nussmeier is 100%, because you're going to need him 100% moving forward in the SEC. So those are kind of my thoughts on the offense and some of the struggles there. Am I hitting the panic button on this offense? I'm not. I do believe this offense is going to get much better over the course of the season. It's just one of those things. Early on, your defense, was supposed to be a heavier offense, and I've seen this LSU offense against this defense in fall camp, and every single time the defense got the better hand, the better edge on the LSU offense. So am I surprised they're struggling this much offensively? Yes, a little bit, but I'm not ready to hit the panic button just yet. This is a must-get-right game for the LSU offense, just to feel good about yourself. If you go out and win, like Louisiana Tech, win 27-7, 27-3, it's going to feel the same way, even though you win big. But if you score 40, 50 points, maybe that will silence the noise just a little bit. Obviously, it's like, okay, you did it against Southeastern. Can you do it against an SEC team or an opponent that's just as good as you are? we'll see. There's going to be a game where LSU's offense has to step up. I mean, it's just one of those things. Look at LSU the 2019 season when they won the national championship. Joe Burrow and that offense was like unstoppable, but they had an off game. It was an Auburn game, and the defense was able to step up. There's going to be one game, no matter how good you are, it happens to everybody. You're going to have an off game. There's going to be an off game by this LSU defense. Can the LSU offense step up when they're needed? That is going to be the question. I have faith in this offense. I'm not ready to throw the white flag or anything just yet, but this is the time of point of year that you have to crank it up and get it going. Hopefully they can do that against the Southeastern Lions. Talk about defensively real quick as well by LSU. I just posted an article on our website. You can check it out at our website, gridironfootballusa.com, about the most impressive part about this LSU defense is we can talk about all the metrics like, they've only given up this many points a game, they've only given up this many rushing yards a game, many passing yards a game, they've only given up 3 touchdowns all year long, like all this different stuff. But what impresses me the most about this Blake Baker defense is it's just next man up, and this defense doesn't skip a beat. It's incredible to kind of look at that. It all started with the Clemson game. I mean, you see Jordan Gilbert, who is really their third safety. He comes in. He has to start the game because, like, basically 2 days before kickoff, LSU finds out that their starting safety can't play in the first half of the Clemson game, A.J. Halsey, because it turns out his last game, he's a transfer from Houston, so his last game at Houston, he got ejected from a game, which will put him out, which will eject him from the game, and will also cost him the first half of the next game. So it's crazy they went through all this whole offseason and didn't know about it until the week of the Clemson game, but that's what happened. So Jordan Gilbert had to step up, and I thought he was great. I mean, he set the tone for the defense, no coverage busts. I know Clemson was trying to trick really the secondary because, LSU gave up a bust of coverages and all that couple years ago, but Jordan Gilbert looked great. He stepped in, and he really was an example of that defense. And then when A.J. Halsey, he was able to get back in the second half of the game, and you saw the Clemson game went to LSU's favor, getting a 17-10 win. So that was kind of the first instance. And this LSU defense impresses me the most because how they've been able to deal with adversity. The first drive of the Florida game, Whit Weeks was ejected from the game for a targeting penalty. And when I talk about this play, it was, I tweeted about it, and a lot of people saw the tweet. But basically, Whit Weeks was ejected from the game for just making a clean tackle. I mean, and that's why I'll go to a whole different tangent about the targeting penalty and why the targeting penalty needs to be eliminated from college football or needs to be adjusted, maybe like basketball. You have a flagrant 1 and a flagrant 2. It kind of depends on the severity of the flag or of the play. But it is what it is. If it's by the book, I mean, it is a targeting penalty. Now, it is by the book. It is a targeting penalty. He lowered his head. But it seemed like his intention was not to destroy the Florida ball carrier. His intention was to go up and just make the tackle. It wasn't anything too crazy. And I think what made it worse, if you go back and look at the replay, the Florida ball carrier also lowered his head on the targeting play. So you don't have any control over that. There's nothing much you can do. I mean, you're not going as fast as these guys are on the football field. There's not a lot you can do because everybody's going at 1,000 miles per hour. The speed is insane. You don't have enough time to say, okay, I can't lower my head down. I got to look right here. Okay, I got to stop, make the tackle, make sure I don't lower my head. You can't think of all of that when the play is like 2 seconds, right? So intent should be a part of it. What Whit Weeks' intent was not to, I'm going to just make sure to knock his head off on this play. I'm not going to go head hunting. But he was trying to just make a tackle, and all these guys work so hard for all the offseason through weightlifting, through summer conditioning, through spring, through fall camp, and then for only 12 games a year. And this is one of the biggest games of the year against Florida, a game you look forward to all year. And your defensive captain gets ejected from the first drive of the game because, he was trying to make a tackle and he just had to lean with his head just a little bit. I mean, that's ridiculous. But I know I went on a rant right there, but just kind of go to my original point about the LSU defense is that guys stepped up. Brian Kelly even joked that I'm going to get all Weeks brothers on the field at the same time. They were all on the field on Saturday night, just not all at the same time. Because remember, when Witt had to be ejected, Wes had to step up even more. And then Wes got hurt in the third quarter with a calf injury. And then they had to bring in Zach Weeks, who's the freshman. He had to come in and play a lot, more than he's ever really played at LSU. And Brian Kelly even joked in the press conference after the fact that Zach Weeks, I'm not even sure he knows where the Cox Center for Academic Support's at. He just got there at LSU. And Brian Kelly even said, I'm not even sure he knows exactly what he's doing, but he was out there having fun and just, going to the ball carrier. But guys had to step up. We talked about all the Weeks brothers. Devon Keys had to step up as LSU's third linebacker. He had 14 tackles in that football game. So you're at a good spot. Usually when you lose arguably your best defensive player in Weeks, you lose him, usually it's trouble. But you have a really great second option in Devon Keys. In fact, you go back and look at the stats. Who is the Tigers' leading tackler right now? It's not Weeks. It's not Harold Perkins. It's Devon Keys. So that's your third linebacker. Who's also led you in interceptions right now? It's Deshaun Spears. It's not Mansour Delane. It's not your starting safeties. It's not Tamarcus Cooley. It's not A.J. Halsey. It's your third-string safety, Deshaun Spears, who leads you in interceptions right now. Guys are just continually to step up when it matters most. I looked at this as well. There have been 10 players credited with at least a half a sack or a full sack. And no player has more than 2 tackles for loss this season. 13 different players have been credited for at least a half a tackle for loss. 7 players have been credited for pass breakups. 11 players have been credited for at least one quarterback hurry. You can only put 11 players on defense, right? So 13 players, at least a half a tackle for loss. 10 players, half a sack. 11 players, quarterback hurry. 7 players, pass breakup. 4 different players have an interception this year. Yeah, you can only put 11 on the field at one time on defense, but they're deep there. We saw it in fall camp. We didn't really have much. There really wasn't much difference when we were out there at fall camp. Who was part of the first team defense and who was part of the second team defense. These guys it was like 1A, 1B. You didn't really have a difference between the two. But that's what it was. You look at the defensive line, I think that you had, according to Pro Football Focus, I believe, there was a number out about how the defensive line, Patrick Payton, leads the team with seeing the field 61% of the time, which is not just overwhelming, right? Jack Pyburn's the other defensive end, 59% of the time you see the field. Gabriel Rutherford, Jamari Butler, they've been around 40%. Bernard Gooden has been on the interior 61% of the time. Donovan McKinley, Jacobian Guillory, Ahmad Bro, they've pretty much been rotating the snaps. And these are 8 guys on the defensive line. There's only 4 guys you can play at a time on the defensive line. There's 8 players that have played a whole lot of football. We talked about the Weeks brothers. We talked about Harold Perkins. We talked about Devon Keys. Tywin Singleton had to play. Zach Weeks had to play. That's 6 different players right there. And you talk about the secondary. Last year, Ashton Stamps was your starting cornerback all season long. And then Jordan Gilbert was your starting safety all season long. They're both not starters on this defense this year. At cornerback, you have Mansour Delane. You have P.J. Woodland. You have DJ Pickett, a freshman, a 5-star freshman. They're all seeing more playing time than Ashton Stamps is right now. And you can trust Ashton Stamps because he started for you all last year. Same thing with Jordan Gilbert. You have A.J. Halsey, TaMarcus Cooley, Deshaun Spears, and then Jordan Gilbert. So it's crazy about the depth of this defense. A huge credit goes to Blake Baker and what he's been able to do this year. The depth has been impressive, but what's also has impressed me is that there's nobody out of position. You gave up like one busted play against Louisiana Tech and one busted play against Florida. This defense is playing in position. They haven't given many big plays. I noticed that if somebody misses a tackle, there's like 4 or 5 other LSU guys waiting there to make the tackle. So they're pursuing to the football. They're celebrating as one. There's no one defender that's been head and shoulders above the rest in terms of stats. This is just a team defense that's all bought in to what Blake Baker's trying to do. They've all rallied to the football. They support the run. LSU's running defense has been stout. The pass has been just as good as well. 5 interceptions. What can you say about that last week against Florida? So the LSU defense been top notch. You wish you had this defense with Jaden Daniels in 2023 and Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas in 2023. But all you needed in 2023 was about an average defense, and you would have been a national championship team. And I have really good feeling that the LSU offense can get to average. They just have too many pieces, too many talented pieces not to get there. And this LSU defense playing like it's playing in another year of Blake Baker's system, it has been really fun to watch. So those are kind of my overall takeaways from the LSU Florida game. But 20-10, LSU moves to 3-0 on the season. A lot of people, it's crazy. Only at LSU that a lot of people could get upset at being 3-0. But your defense is playing at an elite level. Your offense has been a struggle, but hopefully this is a get-right game against Southeastern. Well, guys, I think that'll pretty much do it for me here on the Chase with Jace. Make sure, once again, to subscribe to our channel. Make sure to go to GridironFootballUSA.com for all of it. We have an LSU preview against Southeastern on our website as well. Thank y'all guys for watching. We'll do a Facebook Live on Sunday as well. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the game on Saturday, and we'll see y'all next week on the Chase with Jace.